When your job takes you high above the ground, every workday is hazardous. Who rescues the risk takers when they are in trouble? I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of danger and the courageous people who save our lives on Rescue 911. We begin in Jacksonville, Florida, nearly 200 feet above the St. Johns River. Though actors have helped us set the scene for this story, almost all of the footage you will see was taped during a daring rescue attempt May 15th of this year.
The Dames Point Bridge in Jacksonville, Florida had only just opened. Sam Martin and Kimberly Brooks were making the final inspection. For the 23-year-old engineer trainee, it was her first bridge inspection.
They had been telling me about the inspections and heights, and I was afraid. But, you know, in structure, you deal with height bridges. So I said I might as well go ahead and do it and not seem like a sissy.
Sam maneuvered the bucket over the side of the bridge and down underneath it. Suspended 175 feet above the river, Sam, Kim, and two consulting company engineers were searching the underside of the bridge for cracks and fissures. When the safety mechanism suddenly shut down the engine, driver Chester Taylor went to see what the problem was. The 34-foot boom arm had broken at the elbow joint and was hanging by one pin. The bucket was on its side, almost upside down. Engineer Bob Farley had been thrown 140 feet down into the river. Engineer Bruce Boyle was left dangling 5 feet below the bucket from his safety belt. Kim and Sam were still in the bucket, trying to hold on.
I didn't know if the rest of that boom was going to go or not, and what the circumstances were. I saw it swinging. I knew something had broken, and it was just hanging there, and I didn't know what kind of support was left.
1097. We got an emergency out here. A man in the water. The boom broke.
The first call for help came in at 10:15 a.m.
Rescue Jordan, can I help you?
Yes, I have an emergency at the Dames Point bridge construction site.
What's wrong?
I only have a confused account so far. A guy hanging onto a bucket dropped in the river.
What side of the bridge is he on? Which direction?
North side.
He's on the north side of the bridge. Is he near the end or near the span?
Near the main span.
We'll be there in a minute.
10-4.
Jacksonville fire rescue units were dispatched to the scene.
Fire 2, rescue 11, ladder 30.
I was watching Bruce's eyes just roll back in his head, and you can tell he was in pain. He was trying to pull up, and I knew he couldn't pull up because the way he was hanging.
Bob Farley had somehow managed to hit the water feet first. He escaped from his 14-story fall with only a dislocated shoulder. Up on the bridge, help had arrived, but none of the rescue vehicles could reach down to the victims.
It seemed like we had been up there for hours, and my arm went numb, and you try to shake it, and then you just felt like I might as well fall out. You know, I didn't know how much more I could take.
The first attempt to rappel down to the victims was quickly aborted. Chief Napoli decided it would be safer to send someone more experienced. Paramedic Randy Fulford had trained for high-angle rescues by rappelling up and down City Hall with the SWAT team.
On the Dames Point Bridge.
Rescue 18 will respond to the incident on the bridge, lights and sirens.
There's just a small rope between you and sudden death in most cases like that. So knots have to be tied accurately. Rigging has to be properly applied.
High winds made it too dangerous to try to rappel straight down to the bucket.
Chief Napoli and I decided that I would climb down the actual arm of the apparatus, the extension that held the bucket that the people were actually suspended in. When we first decided that, somebody brought up the security and stability of the boom. Was that a good idea to get on it with them? We might actually load it, causing it to completely sever from its attachment and fall into the river. But if we couldn't get to them, we weren't going to do them any good. So we just made the best call we could.
All right, let me have the flag. Let me have the flag. Come on. Come on. Come on, Bob. Give him on the front. Go right down the way.
when I saw him climbing down the boom, I thought, he's going to risk his life also, because I didn't know how much weight it could take.
As I descended the boom, it became increasingly slick because of all the hydraulic fluid that had been sprayed all over it. I had a very poor footing, very poor handhold.
He's on the last. He's about halfway down to the boom now.
One of my primary objectives when I first reached the patients was, number one, to reassure them. Then, I had to divert my attention at that time to the gentleman that was actually suspended, because I felt that he was in the most distress, and at that point, the most danger.
Tell me when you're ready to bring him up, Randy. I'm ready. You ready? Yeah. All right, start taking the slack up. Go ahead. Get a lot of feet back there. More men better on that. Hold it! Hey, don't pull. Give him a little slack. He's trying to lift the safety belt from the bucket. Come on up. He's got it now. Take him up. Up. Hold it. All right, hold up. Come on. More slack. More slack. Slack.
Randy strapped Bruce in a safety harness and attached it to a pulley system.
I signaled for them to haul him up. At that point, I had no control over his rope. He was totally in the people on the top's hands at that time.
Bruce Boyle was safe, emerging from the incident with only a cracked vertebra.
As I secured Kim to a more safe attachment, I was notified from the people up top that Harry Whidden was coming down to help me.
Now that there was one less victim weighing down the crippled boom arm, it was safe for another rescuer to come down and help. Kim, like Bruce before her, was given a choice. Be raised 34 feet to the bridge or lowered 140 feet to a boat. After more than an hour suspended over the river, she too chose to be hoisted up.
Do it again sometime. No way. All right, just hold on.
After 1.5 hours, the last victim, Sam Martin, was pulled to safety.
My first thought when I heard the snap of the boom was, did I go to college for this? Did I actually go to school for this? This is not happening to me.
Just the inside knowledge, knowing that I helped somebody else live a more productive life, maybe a longer life, it means a lot to me.
Kim Brooks will finish her trainee program and become an engineer 3 years from now. None of her plans for the future have changed.
The accident on the Danes Point Bridge happened about 4 months prior to Clem and I getting married.
Kim, here's Ling Ling, the ugly teddy bear.
The first thought that came to my mind as I was hanging there was somebody else marrying Clem on our wedding day. And that gave me a little bit of inspiration to hold on.
I hate to say it, but sometimes it almost takes something, devastating, to a near fatal accident or something to really make you realize what you have, because it seems that you always take one another for granted. But now, since this has happened, you know, that's my girl. She's... The only thing that'll break us up is death.
Next.
Police fire communications.